Hi and welcome to the webinar, Empowering Your Decision Making with SAP. My name is Al McEwan. I'm a Principal Consultant with Thorogood, and joining me today for this session is my colleague Archana Krishna, and we'll hand backwards and forwards during this session. To review the objectives for today's session, we're intending to explore the reporting portfolio of SAP BusinessObjects, deep dive into some of the tools, and we'll do demonstrations to highlight some of those latest features and illustrate how you can perform business reporting with SAP for your enterprise. So really we're about catching up on the latest technologies, business objects, and what the roadmap means for going forwards. And we'll do that through a few brief slides and mostly probably through demonstrations. A couple of slides to introduce Thorogood to you. So we are business intelligence and analytics specialists. That's what we do, that's all we do, and that's what to a great extent makes us specialists. We've been doing this for over 25 years, and we stay at top of what's happening within the industry and what's happening within the market, and bring that back to you guys. We get that expertise and we deliver solutions using small, efficient expert teams. And that specialism, pure specialist in business intelligence and analytics only, really helps us to make a difference. It really helps us, those specialist teams, to understand what it is that's driving business and how technology can best support making those decision making. We keep the business focused requirements at the forefront of all of our solutions, and that enables us to really get that focus and deliver successfully. And that means that for most of the organizations, all the organizations we work for, we are trusted to deliver. We understand a lot about what it takes to deliver within enterprise organizations, what it takes to understand the security requirements, the data requirements, the business requirements, what it means to roll out globally. There are a lot of aspects to enterprise solutions that we have a lot of experience with. And some of our global customers are on the screen there. To a great extent, most of what we do is application design and development, but we also do quite a few other services. We spend a lot of our time helping organizations, helping those global organizations to understand their BI strategy, to help to pick the appropriate BI strategy for their current position, and define the roadmap to getting to that effective strategy. As well as we do a lot of user training and empowerment, and we support a lot of the applications that we develop as well. A few of the organizations we work with are on screen now. Most of our experience is in the consumer goods, pharmaceuticals, life sciences, retail, banking, capital markets, and insurance sectors. So that's where the predominance of our experience is with, although we have also worked with other organizations. We're customer driven with the technologies we work with. All of the customers we work with have most of the top those four bubbles on screen there: SAP, IBM, Microsoft, and Oracle. So the four big players in BI. We also work with many of the other smaller pure play vendors, Click and Tableau being two that have really made a big market change lately. So we work with the technologies that we know we can deliver success with and that our customers are drawing upon us for. SAP is the big focus of this session today. So a slide here just showing our expertise. We have a recognized service partner with recognized expertise. This is the specific credential that we've passed with SAP. We have a number of consultants with experience in that and certified, and two case studies for which we put very brief view on screen here. So feel free to connect to our website and have a look at more details on those case studies. Having introduced Thorogood, I'll pass over to Archana, who will take you through the first of the content.
Thanks, Al, and hello, everyone. I'll first give you an overview of the SAP BusinessObjects Landscape before we look at the solutions in more detail. I'm sure many of you would have worked with SAP technologies in some form or the other, be it within the ERP or BI and reporting space. The BusinessObjects Reporting Suite, which is our area of focus today, has a multitude of products out there in the market. A few of them have been around for a while, like Crystal Reports, some relatively new, like Design Studio, and a few deprecated ones as well. If you've worked with SAP long enough, you would have observed solutions can also go through a rebranding process. For example, Lumira was formerly known as Visual Intelligence and looked quite different to what it does now. Over the last 2 years, SAP's main strategy has been to simplify this reporting landscape and streamline this into a set of core tools that will be the main focus in the future. This transition isn't by any means complete and will only continue to evolve. As you can see, there are 4 main segments that the reporting solutions play in: reporting, data discovery and analysis, dashboards and applications, and office integration. There are a number of solutions that fall under each segment. Some familiar names will be Crystal Reports, Desktop Intelligence, which is the older version of Webintelligence, Dashboards, also known as Excelsius. As part of this Simplify the Landscape strategy, all future investments in research and development by SAP will be directed to only the strategic tools. This implies that within the reporting domain, we're looking at Webintelligence and Crystal Reports, Lumira within the data discovery and analysis space, Design Studio within the dashboards and application space, and Analysis Office to lead the office integration domain. Quite obviously, this is a condensed list when compared to the one on the left, but the intention is for greater focus on the development and evolution of these strategic tools. Tools like Lumira and Design Studio are still quite new in the market, but play in segments with more mature competitor products. But they have been rapidly evolving, so it will be quite exciting to see how this plays out. SAP have also been keen on increasing their presence in the cloud analytics domain, and the SAP BusinessObjects Cloud Platform is intended to be the one-stop shop for all cloud-based analytics. With all the recent developments in the BusinessObjects suite, the main highlights can be categorized into the following areas. A broad reporting spectrum. These days, everybody wants to have access to data on their fingertips, the ability to explore, slice and dice, and derive valuable insights just then and there. But there will also always be the need to produce well-defined and standard reports for operational or management reporting, for example. Quite often, we've seen customers looking to get more out of a reporting tool than what it is designed to do. Flashy dashboards with what could be termed as a simple and static reporting tool, or maybe the other way around. SAP, as we've just seen, offers multiple products to cover this breadth of the reporting spectrum. Enterprise solutions can be delivered with some of the long-standing tools like Webintelligence, Crystal Reports, or more recently Design Studio. But you also have the option of agile data discovery and exploration with the likes of Lumira. These solutions cater to different user groups: analysts who want to dive into data points, and executive users who are only interested in the high-level KPIs. With these disparate tools, what becomes key is the accessibility to reports of each type. You wouldn't want to have to go to n different places to view different kinds of reports. SAP has tackled this by aiming to integrate the various solutions into a single server platform, so you can access both a Webintelligence document and a Lumira document via one portal. There has been increased focus in the recent past to incorporate greater interactivity for users and encourage collaboration. It has been observed that of the reporting solutions built using SAP, around 70% of the data sources used are non-SAP. Potentially in a bid to encourage usage within the SAP community, enhanced integration with SAP BW and HANA is a focal point across all the reporting solutions. The tools highlighted previously have not been inherently developed as a mobile reporting tool. Recent releases have seen a lot of development in the user experience on mobile devices, and in particular, offline access to data. SAP's recent acquisition of Rombi is a testament to the significance of mobile reporting in today's world. This may be of particular interest to those of you in the US, where SAP BusinessObjects Rombi has been made generally available, and the future roadmap looks quite interesting as well. So within this current reporting landscape offered by SAP, the basic question would be, when would you use each of these tools? What's the best use case? What is the best fit for your organization, or maybe for a specific user community? For the remainder of this webcast, we will dive into some more details for Webintelligence, Design Studio, and Lumira. We'll walk you through a live demonstration and also highlight some of the newest features that have been made available. For those of you who are keen to explore any of the other aspects of this suite, including BusinessObjects Cloud and BusinessObjects Rombi, feel free to reach out to us by email, and we'll also cover this in a future session. Let's now directly jump into probably the most widely used reporting tool by SAP, which is Webintelligence. Now, Webintelligence has been around for a while, and can be used as a standard operational reporting tool as well as a medium for ad hoc analysis. We've seen with many of our customers that though there is the ability to perform ad hoc analysis with Webby, it's very commonly used for predefined standard reporting whilst leveraging some of the features like filtering and drill through. Having said that, there's definitely the capability to slice and dice data, and I will demonstrate this to you shortly. Webby can connect to a host of data sources, SAP and non-SAP. As mentioned earlier, a significant proportion of Webby users pull data from non-SAP sources via an intermediate layer called the universe. Some of our customers have in the past struggled to get the desired performance with Webby on top of SAP data sources, but it seems like SAP has picked this up and introduced performance enhancements that directly address these concerns. All Webby reports are accessed via the BI Launchpad, where you can author reports as well. Webintelligence Rich Client is an alternative client tool to develop reports. Let's now look at some of the newest features that have been released in the latest version of Webby. BusinessObjects 4.2 was first released at the back end of 2015, but there's been a few updates since then which have built on the strengths of the initial release. Commentary on reports is a pretty common request for any business user, the ability to comment on individual KPIs and invoke feedback from a colleague. This is now available in the latest version of Webby, and whilst the initial version only allowed for commentary to be added in general for a report, the latest upgrade allows for comments to be added for every table or chart within a report document. You can now save and share commonly used calculations and visualizations in a repository, which can then be reused by any user. This would not only reduce development effort, but can also help ensure consistent definitions and practices are used by report consumers. Maps are one of the newest visualizations available in Webby, and I'm sure would be useful to a lot of people out there. In line with my earlier comment on enhanced integration with SAP data sources, Webby now allows for direct connections to SAP HANA, and the intermediate universe layer is no longer required. There have also been some enhancements on the technical front, which will have a noticeable impact on the user experience. There's the option to force Webby to run queries in parallel against the database, but it has to be noted that this is not applicable for BEX queries and Excel sources at this point in time. If you ever happen to delete a report accidentally, and this isn't the most uncommon occurrence, your report can be recovered from the newly introduced recycle bin. I've put together a small reporting area to demonstrate a few of these features that I'll show you now. I'm going to navigate to the folders section. You'll see a lot of folders in here, but that's probably because I'm an administrator. Let's open up a performance analysis report where I'm analyzing my sales performance across the different categories that I play in the different countries that I operate. Before we go into the details of what this report contains, I'd just like to highlight that there are two modes in which you can view this report, the reading mode and the design mode. The reading mode is primarily for users who are mainly report consumers. They're not looking to play around with the structure of this report. The design mode is more suited for the analysts who are looking to perform ad hoc analysis. Within this specific report, I've got a few charts that are indicating the development of sales over the last 3 months. The first is an overall comparison of value and volume, and the other is split by category. I also have a tabular formatted view, which is breaking down the category performance into the different brands available. Now, this text box here relates to one of the features that we mentioned earlier, report commentary. If I expand the commentary panel over here, you can see the history of comments that are in line with this report box here. So, what is driving the 6% decrease in Climatize was a comment that was posted by a colleague of mine. If I need to understand what is driving this decrease, I probably want to drill down a little further. So I've got the drill functionality enabled, and I just need to click on this brand here, and it takes me to a level down. It seems like all of the different brand variants under this category seem to have a decrease overall. So maybe the comment that I want to add in here is that this wall spray deodorant is quite significant and accounts for 51% of the total brand. In this way, you can see that I can quickly interact with my colleagues and add in commentary for any report visualization. This could just be a one static comment, or it could be a conversation with your colleagues. On the second tab of this report, I've got the regional analysis view, which again relates to another new feature by Webby. Now, in this map view, it gives you a quick idea of which are my stronger performing countries and the not so strong countries. I can see that the UK over here is clearly doing quite well. If I click on the UK, the two charts below, which is a split by city and a view of the customer performance, gets filtered down to display data only for the UK. Now, this interactivity between the different components doesn't exist by default, but you can configure Webby to behave in this specific manner. I've got a filter bar right at the top wherein I can apply some quick filters to restrict the view of the data that I'm working with. Another feature, if you remember, that I've mentioned was the ability to share elements such that it can be reused by other users. Let's take an example of this specific chart here. So I've got my split of value sales by the different customers. So this is a chart I want to be able to share with a bunch of other colleagues. All that I need to do is save this as a shared element. I'm just going to give this a quick name and hit save. Once I've saved this onto a repository, any other user who has access to this repository can directly incorporate this into their own reports. So let's open up another report here. But before we go in and add in that shared element into this blank spot, I'd like to show you how you can work with Webby to do some ad hoc analysis. If you take the example of this specific table, which is quite a simple table, just listing down your value volume by the different products in different stores. But maybe as a user, I don't want to look at product at this low level of granularity. I'd rather look at, say, a brand subfamily level. So all that I need to do is drag in that specific object and replace it in the table, which changes the view of my data. I can also add in a brand qualifier to add a little more context to this table. In this way, I can very quickly change the structure of my table to suit my needs. I can also create new visualizations if needed. So say I drag in brand to this empty spot here and bring in value as well. By default, it creates a table, but I can very quickly turn this into another visualization. So there are a few default options available here, but I'm going to hit more transformations just to show you the complete range of visualizations offered by Webby. So a lot of the standard ones are available that you'd expect in a lot of the reporting tools. But a few key ones that I'd like to point out will be a radar chart, a waterfall chart, and in this case, I'm going to use a tag cloud. And you'll see that very quickly, I've been able to create a new visualization with just a few clicks. And this shows me that the brand RAD over here is my strongest performer. Now let's go back to why we initially opened up this report, which was to add in the shared element. So on this panel on the right here, on the left, I've got my shared elements. I can browse to the repository where I've saved my element and drag the test component over here. What this does is not only transfer a static image of that visualization, it also transfers along with it the underlying calculations and the queries that it fires against the database. In this way, you can probably have an administrator maintaining such commonly used visualizations, and then any change the administrator makes can be easily pushed out to all of the consumers who are using any visualization. This was a quick demo of Webby, and I hope you found this useful. If you'd like to know more in terms of what Webby can do more, or what other solutions we've delivered using Webby for our customers, do reach out to us. The next tool that we're going to look at here is called Lumira. Now, BusinessObjects Lumira is a self-serve tool that can be used for data exploration and visualization. It's a desktop-based interface called Lumira Desktop, where you can connect to your data sources, perform some modeling, create calculations, build visualizations on top of that, and then combine them all into a dashboard. This can also be shared with a group of users on a server platform. One option is the Lumira server for BI platform, which would probably be the obvious option for anyone who's already invested in the BusinessObjects suite. For the rest of you, the other alternative is Lumira server for Teams, which is intended to cater to a smaller group of users. Lumira is quite an intuitive tool, and you'll see it's very easy to combine data from multiple sources and put them together into a nice-looking dashboard. It's definitely one of the flagship tools of SAP, And you'll see in a later section where we talk about the roadmap that there's heavy investment going into Lumira, and you can expect a lot of changes in the foreseeable future. Connectivity to data sources is quite advanced as well. It connects to all of the native SAP sources, relational data sources, and also to others like Salesforce, Hadoop, and more. It's a relatively new tool, but with updates coming to once in 3 months, there are plenty of new features that you can play around with. One of the main strengths of Lumira is the ability to combine and model data. It has these faceted views which give you a very quick overview of some of the statistics around your data. Data volumes against every member of an attribute. For example, which country has the highest number of records, which country has the lowest. You can also switch this around to display metrics against each of the members. Lumira provides the ability to create custom calculations, groups, some forecasting algorithms, and just other intuitive ways to slice and dice your data. With respect to sharing and collaboration, I mentioned the option of hosting Lumira dashboards on a server, but you can also export a local copy of your dashboard from Lumira Desktop to PDF, which you can share with your colleagues. However, the advantage of sharing this on a BusinessObjects BI platform is that you will be able to leverage the security setup and configuration that applies to the other components. The last couple of releases of Lumira have seen the introduction of new visualizations like bubble and scatter charts over a time series. Custom color palettes can now be set up as well, giving you the flexibility to tailor the reports to suit the look and feel of your company branding. A key enhancement to the mobile user experience is the ability to access data offline, and not just a static view of the report, but you can filter and drill into reports when you're not connected to the network. Offline access is such a key requirement these days to many of our customers, so this definitely seems like a good addition. As part of the effort to enhance the smooth integration with the BI platform, Lumira offers the capability of authoring documents directly from the Launchpad, but this is only restricted to HANA views for now. How this gets expanded to the other data sources and how far it does still remains to be seen. Now, let's jump into a demo of the Lumira dashboard. The interface that you're looking at here is Lumira Desktop, which is where I've put together this dashboard. This map view that you see here is quite similar to the one that you did see in Webintelligence, but the difference here is that I've split this across categories as well, so I can see which are my strongest performing countries. Once I zoom in here, say in this case I want to drill down to France. If I click on France, I have a few different options in the way I'd like to interact with this data. I can filter on this specific data point. I can exclude it from this visualization, say it's queuing my data. I can drill down, or I could export these records into a CSV or Excel file if I want to analyze this elsewhere. In this case, I'm going to filter this data down to this view. It's applied a filter for both deodorants and France, but let's say I want to remove deodorants from the picture. I can clear that filter, and it's restricting the view back to only France. This chart below is quite interesting. So this is one of the new things that I pointed out, which is a bubble chart over a series of time. What this is representing here is the growth rate of a brand and how that's changed over a period of time. But we're not looking at just this one KPI, we're pitting that against another metric, which is the absolute value, to show exactly how important this is in the overall scheme of things. For example, RAD in this case, which we saw was the biggest brand, had a positive growth in August, but has actually declined in September. And given the significance in terms of the absolute value, it's obviously something that needs to be addressed. Another view we have over here is an overall sales view. The chart on the top right is something which is quite interesting. So I've put together a chart that's comparing actuals versus forecast. The actuals data is pulled from a relational database, which in a productionized solution will probably come from an enterprise data warehouse. But my forecast data needn't be integrated into the same source. It's probably being manually prepared via Excel files. What I've done within Lumira is loaded in data from these two different sources and then blended it together and put it together in a single visualization. The chart below is looking at the evolution of price over time. Let's say I want to look at this in more detail. I can expand any visualization within a dashboard and then interact with this. So let's take an example of RAD again maybe. In this case, I'm going to drill down. I can see a performance of a lot of the brand variants that fall under this brand. See, this is the view that I want to work with. I can update this back. Say I'm a brand manager for RAD. I can update my view to filter down to this level of data and save it back to my dashboard, such that the next time I log back into this dashboard, this is the view that I'll be looking at. This is the end product, but how is it that I got to this final dashboard? Let's jump to the first section, which is the Prepare section. Now, this is the section where I'm connecting to my different data sources. So you can see I'm connecting to my database via the sales universe and my forecast data via an Excel file. I've got two different views of the data set. So there's just a simple straight tabular view, or we've got the alternate view, which is the faceted view that I quite like, to be honest. So for every month, I can see how many records exist in each month. And this similar view exists for every attribute that's there in your data set. For example, country. I can see how many records are there. I can also switch that around to see different metrics against every country. The Prepare section is used to source your data, create custom hierarchies like how we've done for product, geography, create custom calculations maybe like price, some data cleansing activities, or another feature that I'd like to call out over here is the ability to group different dimension objects. So say I've got Netherlands, I'm Belgium, but I want to group this together and report it as a separate value. I can quickly change the value over here, and that applies this logic to all of the visualizations going forward. Once you've got your data ready, you jump to the Visualize section where you can actually put this together into a meaningful chart. Now, what's worth noting here is that all of the interactive options that you've got within a dashboard, you also have in the Visualize section. So if you're looking to do some quick and dirty analysis, you don't have to combine them all into a final dashboard. You can work within this visualization section in exactly the same way as you do otherwise. So in this map view that we looked at earlier, I've got many options here, so I can probably rank and display only the top 3 countries that I want to be focusing on. I've got a range of other visualizations available here, the common ones, and a few others, like I've got tabular views in case you want to supplement your graphical information with some tabular details. I've got some built-in calculations that I can directly leverage. I've got some forecasting ability. I can either link up with SAP Predictive Analytics, or I can use an inbuilt linear regression algorithm, but at this stage, it only applies for a simple line chart. Now, once you have all of your visualizations ready, you can combine them all into a dashboard, and this is your final product that you could either deploy on a server to circulate with your colleagues, or you can export this all into a PDF document and then share it. This was a quick demo of Lumira. What is available, and if you're interested, would be a 30-day trial on the SAP website if you'd like to have a quick play around with it. I'll now hand back to Al, who will take you through Design Studio.
Thank you, Archana. So Design Studio. Design Studio is intended as a dashboarding tool. It actually extends a little bit beyond that because it does allow for some analysis. It also allows for planning. So there are planning capabilities built into the tool that you can switch on, and therefore enabling right back through Design Studio into your BI platform. Typically, dashboarding is around prescriptive dashboards. So this is a developer-based tool. It is not a business user-based tool. It requires development techniques, strong coding techniques, data modeling and analysis type techniques. So it's certainly for prescriptive dashboards. So a developer, a designer needs to understand the business need for the dashboard, push the dashboard together, but they can be relatively customized, so relatively flexible for the business user to switch what they're displaying on screen. And I'll show you a bit of that when we're doing a demo. To a great extent, Design Studio is aligned to SAP data sources. So data through BW, data through HANA views. You can connect to BusinessObjects universes, but there is some constraints around that. How many data values or rows that you can put through Design Studio. So there's a few more restrictions when you put it through a BusinessObjects universe, but it's certainly possible. CSV as a data source has been added to better enable Design Studio to be able to do POCs, quickly prove a concept, quickly understand the front-end design that's required to meet the business need, and then to refine that data source back into a business object or a BW or a HANA data source. Design Studio 1.6 is the latest release. It is still maturing as a tool. There are new, new charting components have been added as part of 1.6, so enabling improved geo mapping. You can do a certain restricted number of report level calculations, quite limited at this stage, so it'll be interesting to see where SAP takes that. And increased mobile optimization. So Design Studio 1.6 has caught up with some of the SAP's latest Fiori design and sort of web UI type design concepts. So that's one area where Design Studio and I believe Lumira has been changing to keep up with SAP's progression in that area. Let's show you a demo of Design Studio. This web page has been running in the background, so I may need to reconnect. So this is the result of a Design Studio developed and deployed solution. The premise behind this is about quality management. So it's about understanding where there are quality challenges within the manufacturing cycles. Front screen of the dashboard, we've got KPIs, and those KPIs are then enabled to be filtered by either plant or calendar year. So we can filter on a plant and pick a particular plant, apply that filter, and all of the KPIs get updated to reflect that. For us right now, the back-end data source is BW. So hopefully we'll demonstrate that you can get good performance through this, but it does depend a lot on your back-end data source. So we can filter on plant, we can filter on calendar month, and look at the data that reflects what has been selected. We've got current month data and we've got year-to-date data. I'm going to deselect month right now. Having looked at the KPI sheet on the front and understanding what we want to analyze further, we can switch to one of the other tabs, or Design Studio enables us to click directly on the front screen. So if I click on corrections here, that will take me to the next sheet, and what it's done is it's filtered, so it's automatically filtered on corrections, so the item that I've clicked on, and it's taken the filter of Aberdeen, so the site filter, the plant filter, through to the next page. I've put some clear buttons on to be able to clear that. It's an interactive screen, so the user can make the necessary selections and look across different sites. Let's clear those filters again, and we can see KPI showing total number of records. I've put 3 different visualizations on screen because I'd like to demonstrate a few concepts. Firstly, time series, so pretty standard capability to be able to use line charts. At the bottom right here, we've got a bar chart, but we've enabled that space to be reused. So as a business user, I want to see by priority, or might want to see by priority. I may also want to switch that chart to have a look by brand. So this is some of the dynamic nature of the capabilities within Design Studio. A challenge you may face is fitting on screen. So within a dashboard environment, we often see that designers like to put an awful lot on a single screen. Here you can see we've got quite a few defect types that don't really fit within the space. The bars and the text don't really line up. So we've put a few dynamic features in here to highlight ways of handling that. Firstly, visibility and size, so we can dynamically control the visibility of that bottom chart and the size of the top chart to enable it to fit the area. Or alternatively, and perhaps more effectively, is be able to put a button on screen to be able to, oh, that clearly didn't work, to select the top 10 items. Okay, we've got a bug in there. There we go, now it works. To be able to select or deselect the top 10 items, bottom 10 items, and perhaps be able to top in items for the business user. Having made a number of selections and filters, we can enable link out to external applications or websites, and we're demonstrating that by putting a link on the front page that's just right now I'm just taking it up to Google, and it's taking the context of Aberdeen that I've selected, so showing the interactive nature of the dashboard. If I switch across to so I'm going to clear my filters, switch across to the overdue records, demonstrate a few other concepts. So here we've got two charts that again share the same space, a line chart showing the trend of overdue records, or the priorities, or by priority. So again, two charts sharing the same space with using a different component. At the bottom, we want to be able to filter all of the overdue records, see all of the overdue records. We can sort those. We've got user has interactive sorting capability as we're able to filter those to those that are the critical records, and we need to address those critical or major incidences. Finally, on our dashboard, we like to, where appropriate, put more of an ad hoc analysis sheet. So while we are seeking to design a dashboard to fit the business users' typical needs, there's often aspects of what the business user needs to get to that falls between the gaps. So where we can put an ad hoc analysis sheet on the dashboard, then that helps to fill that gap. So right now we have a tabular view. We have a view that's relatively akin to a standard BEX interaction. So we can determine what we're seeing on rows and columns. Notification types here I could filter. So right-click brings up a menu that allows you to filter and determine whether you're showing totals or not. This is very akin to a standard BEX type presentation. We could switch notifications out and perhaps bring in a year and month. What you'll see there is I'm making changes, making adjustments to what I might want to see on screen, and nothing happens until I release the pause. So you can have it as an interactive or non-interactive change as you determine what you want to see. Having changed to a calendar, so by calendar month view, let's perhaps switch from a table to a chart. So this is something that's been built in to the dashboard. So we've specifically said that we want to enable this button to allow the user to switch. What they're switching to has been specifically designed in. The ability to use bookmarks has been designed in. The undo button has been designed in. And then at any point we get to the ability to export. Again, this has all been designed in. There are common components and templates that you can reuse, making development of a new dashboard simpler. But the concept I want to bring out is this has been developed, so you can develop and include the capabilities that you want to include. In this case, I've just switched to a chart presentation view, and what you can see here is we now have the same type of charting components that Archana was showing within Lumira. So this is an area where we'll talk about in a moment, which is where Design Studio and Lumira are coming together. So we've got the same charting components that are enabled there. Let's switch back to the slides now to just finish off that session. So which should we use? We've shown you a reporting environment, a dashboard environment, and an ad hoc environment. And that's exactly the intended use of each of those three tools. Lumira, hopefully we can see it's very much attuned to analysis. It's attuned to I say ad hoc analysis because the business user gets to decide which data elements, which data sets they're bringing in. The business user gets to work with the data, or the analyst gets to work with the data. They need to know how to join data if they're joining data, but the capabilities are provided within Lumira. They can perform transformations on the data in their own calculations, and then they can do the charting and analysis within that tool as well. So very well attuned to analytic type needs. Design Studio, very good and purpose-built for prescriptive dashboards. It's replacing some of the existing SAP technologies, Excelsius and WADS, as the standard strategic dashboard from SAP going forwards. It's maturing more. I would say 1.6 has added a lot of features that make it a lot more appropriate and applicable to many more scenarios. It's still much more appropriate to SAP data sources. As I've mentioned, you can enable it to work with data sources that you've enabled through BusinessObjects universes, but there are some limitations with the data volumes you can work with in that environment. Webintelligence, many organizations have been using Webintelligence for a long time now, and its ability to do some basic dashboarding, its ability to enable you to give the tool to ad hoc analysts to work with the data are strong and have been growing. Its bread and butter is still with reporting, and that's where its main strengths are. If you want to do some basic analysis or some basic dashboarding, then absolutely you can stick with Webintelligence. But Design Studio and Lumira have matured significantly. So what lies ahead? So Lumira and Design Studio, SAP will still bring together. That's still what their intention is. So merging the two into a single product set, I'd say. So there is still intent to have two clients. Will that come together at some point? It's hard to tell. You can see the direction that it's coming together. The fact that Design Studio can have some of the Lumira-like capabilities to analyze your data is where it has come together. But the ability to point at data and work with data and transform data, will that be added into the common product? Potentially, but it's hard to see that at this stage. But certainly the two tools are coming together. And they'll come together as a single product set with Lumira as the main name of the tool. So as shown there, Lumira Desktop and Lumira Studio. They've also been reducing the platforms that they've been supporting. So expect that going forwards, the business objects, otherwise known as the BI platform, is where the results of those technologies will be published to. So that brings us to the end of our webinar. I hope that was useful. So our intention was to explore the reporting portfolio of business objects and deep dive into some of the tools, and using demonstrations to do that. There's an awful lot to Webintelligence, Design Studio, Lumira. We've shown you a good portion of Design Studio and Lumira, but only touched the surface of Webintelligence within this 45-minute session. If you want more information, then please come and talk to us. We're happy to show you some of the capabilities, to talk to you about case studies, and to help you to work out whether which tools and whether these tools are appropriate for your business scenarios. As we touched on at the beginning of this session, we do a lot of work with organizations to help them to identify the right BI strategy and the right positioning of the business objects and SAP tools within their BI portfolio. So please come and talk to us if you'd like more information. If you've got any questions, then please feel free to either post them through the chat panel or send us those through email, and we'll endeavour to try and respond to those. Thank you.